Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. It has been a rather slow weekend so far. I mean, it's nearly over. We're approaching the weekly candle close. Volatility so far is quite muted. We don't really see much action at the moment, and we seem to be moving between support levels and resistance levels, the same parameters that we talked about in the previous update. Now, throughout the day, I highlighted to you that the move up might still be a B wave. It might still be a B wave, and we could get a small C wave decline and could possibly test that swing low again from Friday. But bear in mind, this is literally just short-term noise, but it's a range we're moving in. So remember that this week, it's still Sunday for now. This week we moved down from this Monday high that formed around 116,400. We moved down in 5 waves. 5-wave move indicates that the trend is probably, or the trend is down. That's a trend direction, the underlying trend direction as far as I can tell. And the overall price structures, they reveal to me here and to us that the market is extremely nervous. You see a lot of nervousness and uncertainty in the markets. I mean, there's never certainty, but sometimes there is more uncertainty. Sometimes there is less uncertainty. If a trend is very clear, an overall trend, then uncertainty might be a bit lower. But as I explained over the last few days, again and again, if we go to the daily chart, you will see that Bitcoin has been in a range now for several months. I mean, look, we have been in this range since May, basically, the May highs. I mean, we had this rally, at the time a new all-time high, then we had a pullback. Then we broke above this May high that formed around 112K. And then we were above it, right? It's not like, okay, there's this one level we always bounce off from, but most of the time, we've spent above the May high. And then there's this kind of support area here, do you see? And it's kind of split between above the May high and below the May high, sort of. So, I mean, but it's all for me one range. Essentially, we're now still in the same price region in which we've been in May. Actually, already January 25, December 24. So it's a sideways range, essentially, that we're tracking here. Sideways oriented. And so there's a lot of uncertainty, and people are getting bored and everything. That's normally what happens when the market moves sideways for an extended period, but that's typical after strong rallies. And Bitcoin rallied from around about 15K in 2022 all the way up to nearly 130K, which was my target. So look, I still haven't got any confirmation that the bear market has started. We have to pay close attention to microstructures in the current price region here, because microstructures will give us the earliest signals. The macro should be very clear. I mean, my macro view hasn't changed in months. I mean, how could it? We haven't really moved, right? We haven't really moved we haven't gone anywhere, This is simply a range. So from a daily chart point of view, everything that's happening here is literally just noise. But then we can pay close attention to the microstructures because they reveal to us the short-term trend. And it's important before we zoom in again that this area here, and it's not an exact area, but roughly around 107,500 to 104,500, these red lines, plus minus a few $100 maybe. This is a support area where the price has found support in September several times, in August, in July. And so we are, despite that 5-wave decline we have seen, we are still holding above key support levels. So now let's take a look at the shorter time frame. Here you can see it. So what we wanted to see was here possibly this ABC structure. I think I talked about in the first video earlier today. It's coming together nicely. It's coming together nicely, that additional pullback into support. But basically, my view is wave 1 to the downside, that's a possibility. It's a 5-wave decline. That indicates rather pressure to the downside. And then I've seen here, this could be 5 waves up, but on the smaller time frame. And we've been watching for a 3-wave pullback afterwards, playing out right now. And then we could still get a C-wave rally. This gives me 5 waves down and 3 waves up as a counter trend move. And it's important to understand that as long as we stay below 114,246, for me, the overall pressure remains downward, because this is a 5-wave move down. And unless we can break above this 78.6 retracement, the structure isn't changing. Yeah. So it's not so much about predicting we're going to get a crazy crash. I mean, it seems that that's the risk. Yeah. That's the main risk we're dealing with. However, it's also about understanding, because there's always a bullish and a bearish scenario. It's about understanding which one seems to be leading right now. I'm fairly neutral, but I think yellow might be leading because of the 5-wave move down. But it still needs to prove itself through a corrective bounce right now here. Yeah, so a corrective bounce meaning a 3-wave move up. And that C wave next could play out maybe early this week, maybe around the weekly candle close. So something to watch for. If we start to break below 107,330, then it might be an early indication that wave 2 might have topped already. I'll keep you updated about this. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, then also check out our X channel for additional charts, updates, news, and much more. You get additional updates here throughout the day, some that are not covered on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the comment section. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.